Boom. What's happening?
What's going on?
Episode 2, Have a Good Fucking Day podcast. We're back. Got a very special guest on today, Mohammed Mansaray, amazing actor. I've seen him in a few theatre productions, doing films, TV shows, on his way to Hollywood. Trust me, we're going to dive into some convos, man. It's going to be a good one. Episode 2, let's go. Just to begin with, tell me a little bit about what you're doing currently.
Okay. Well, first, I want to say thank you for bringing man on the podcast.
Thank you for coming, bro.
It's not my pleasure, bro. My pleasure. Like, you know, when you hit me, you said, "Oh, bro, like, obviously I knew the podcast was going on." And when you said first guest, I was like, "Yo." So for me, like, you know, that's like we're springboarding it. This is the first step on a journey. So,
we were having a conversation, man, about who to have on, and was running through some names or whatever. And as soon as your name come up, I was like, perfect. Do you know what I'm saying? First guest, somebody that I know, someone that I love. You get me?
Appreciate it.
We've always had interesting conversations anyway. At the times that we've caught up properly.
Yeah.
And it just made sense, man. And it's comfortable. Do you know what I'm saying? So
100%.
It makes sense.
100%. Yeah, man. So I'm happy to be here. What am I doing at the moment? So I'm an actor. That's obviously, you know that, but for the people out there that don't know that,
incredible
I am an
actor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I've been blessed, man. I've been lucky that recently, these last couple months, I've had a few things back to back. So I did a play called I Love Acting but F This Industry at Theatre Peckham Fringe Festival. And I've never done fringe theatre before. The theatre that I have done has been, like, from when I was young, like West End theatre to touring theatre, with like the National Theatre, just like big productions that I've been blessed to be a part of. So for me, doing that play, it was deeply personal. One, because of the subject matter, and two, because of where it was. It was in the ends. Do you know what I mean? Theatre Peckham, lots of family and friends came down to watch it, and it was just. I'd never been so nervous, innit?
Yeah.
I'd never been so nervous.
How come?
Because it's people that you know. Like, it's your people that are coming to watch you. Do you get me?
I've seen you in a couple of plays which were incredible.
Thank you.
What's the difference between normal theatre and fringe theatre?
So fringe theatre is, in my opinion, fringe theatre is a smaller scale, for one. There's not as much money put behind it, and it's a circuit where a lot of theatre makers can go to try stuff out. Unless you've got like a name. If you say you've just come out of drama school, you've just started up your own production company, you want to put a play together, the best place to get your stuff put on is fringe theatre. So like there's Edinburgh Fringe Festival, a lot of people take their plays up there, and once you have, if you put on a good performance, if you get good ratings and good reviews from that show, then other theatres can see that, pick it up, and then that it just gives you like a platform where it's like a platform where you can showcase your work, and bigger theatres can pick it up, bro.
Okay.
And it's also, I'd say, for if your work is a bit more niche, then some theatres don't want to take the risk of putting on niche work, unfortunately. So you can go to a fringe festival or like a fringe theatre and put it on there.
I hear that.
Yeah.
And when you're preparing for a theatre production or a movie, and you were saying like, in this one that you've done most recently, that you were nervous because of who was going to be watching and stuff like that.
100.
How do you prepare yourself in them scenarios? Have you got anything that you go to try and settle your nerves or get yourself prepared to step on stage?
You know what? Not really, because I've never really been nervous. Like that was like a new experience for me. Because I've been doing it from so young, I've always just been used to like rehearsing, getting up on stage, doing it. But I found in that scenario, in that play that I did at Theatre Peckham, we started on stage. So the audience come in and we are already on the stage, just like doing what you call a pre-show, innit? And I just found myself like dancing for one, like just a little dancing. To the audience, it looks like, oh, right, these lot are proper getting into it. But for me, it's like I need to release this tension somehow. So if it's that, stretching, breathing, like whatever. I've heard some actors, they'll go for a cigarette or maybe like a pint before a show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever do that, bruv. I've done that once.
Yeah.
Had a drink, like I went to go meet a friend for lunch before a show. I've had half a pint, bro. This is a couple hours before the show started. The show started now, and obviously alcohol dehydrates you, innit? So I could feel my voice like, right, this ain't for me. But yeah, man, just whatever you can to relax yourself, like stretching, breathing, all of that.
Yeah, I think movement's a great one, man. When it comes to like releasing tension that we're holding in our body or whatever, even not even necessarily preparing for stage, but even like in life, do you know what I'm saying? Like movement, being outside, moving your body, like it's a great release.
It's important.
And I can relate to what you were saying about the drinking thing. Obviously, being a rapper and a performer, it kind of comes with the territory, do you know what I'm saying? Like when you're performing in a nightclub or at a festival or whatever, drinking becomes a part of it. And for so long, we would just be drunk, innit? Like, not like falling all over the place, but you would be performing drunk. And if you find the sweet spot, then you're sweet, do you know what I'm saying? Because you're having it, and the crowd is having it as well. But I went through that experience when there was a period of time when I wasn't drinking at all, and I would be performing, and even going into social situations as well. Like, you realize how much, not necessarily that you've relied on it, but how much it takes away feelings of nervousness or anxiety. For me personally, anyway. I remember performing at Fabric sober. And it's like, whoa, this is a whole new experience. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm in Fabric. Like, I've never been in Fabric at 2 o'clock in the morning sober before, do you know what I'm saying? And you touch stage, and it's more, the mental process means that you have to be more active in how you're approaching it. Because I think when you're drunk, it's almost less of a performance.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because you're lit.
It's a vibe, innit?
Do you know what I'm saying? But if you're backstage and you're sober and you're just chill, do you know what I'm saying? And I've got to go and touch stage now and jump around and give it some. And it's like, you just realize the difference and how much of a role alcohol can play in those scenarios. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like it felt more like work when you were sober?
It definitely felt more professional. Do you know what I'm saying? It felt like, I'm here to do a job rather than have a good time. And I think it's all well and good if you're only performing every now and again and you get lit, cool. But when it gets to the point when you're performing multiple times a week, you can't do that.
It takes its toll.
Yeah, you're gonna burn out, innit?
100%. And 100%.
Trying to go to work when you're hungover.
Yeah, it's not the one, man.
It's not the one. We've all been to work hungover before. It's always a big regret, do you know what I'm saying?
1,000,000%.
Before we dive into some more stuff, just me and you chopping it up, one of the things that I wanted to do, I reached out to my followers and said, I'm going to have a guest on. Is there any questions or topics or life stuff that you lot have got going on that you want us to touch on? Send them in. So I had a few responses. I'm going to go through a couple of them.
Okay, so what advice or just questions?
Well, it's kind of a new thing. Well, it's a new podcast, but it's something that I want to introduce in every episode. So I want to like involve the viewers and the listeners so they can like contribute.
Yeah, man.
And I do want it to get to a point when people are sending in like real life scenarios that they might want advice on, whether it's life, wellness, relationships, anything like that. So then they can feel like a part of the conversation.
Bridge the gap, innit? Bridge the gap.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So one of the ones that I was looking at. So someone is asking about toxic family members that always cause drama and talk badly behind my back. Oof. I feel torn between cutting them out, but they're family and that she was so close with, so it's difficult. And she's also got a kid, so obviously the family members play a role. I think this is a tough one, man, because obviously family's family, innit? And there's a level of loyalty that we all feel there, and there's always gonna be that connection and that love there. But I do think that when it gets to a certain point, and I mean this has to be like once all avenues have been exhausted, that if people are genuinely having a detrimental effect on your life,
if they're not serving you and they're meant to be your family, because when you say family is family, I think to myself, like, it's when people say blood is thicker than water, but I'm not too sure about that. Do you get what I mean? I'm not too sure about that. I think that we choose our family. I think you can be, if you're blessed enough to have people around you that support your thing, do you get me? That big you up, that prioritize even in their situation, they're still able to allow you to prioritize whatever it is you need to do for yourself. I think that's family.
I hear you.
Do you get what I mean?
I hear you.
But it just hurts a bit more, as you say, if they're supposedly meant to be like a brother, sister, mum, dad, whatever. If they're meant to be playing that role, and they're not. Like, yeah, it hurts a bit more, innit? Because you have an expectation.
Yeah.
But especially if there's children involved, I don't have any, innit? But like, I think from my personal experience growing up, yeah, man, of course you remember those aunties or those uncles or those cousins that came through for you and they didn't need to. They had their own life going on, and they decided to invest in you, bro. And that's yeah, they don't have to do that.
When we grow up, because we have, as kids, obviously we have a connection with the adults in the family in our life, innit? And when we're younger, we've got less understanding of what our needs are, because this is all we know. And then as we grow up and we learn more about life and what support really looks like and what love really looks like and what we need, certain things can be thrown into stark contrast, and you realize actually this relationship or this situation isn't the love that is cultivating the best side of me. Do you know what I'm saying? So we grow older and we realize actually, do you know what? A lot about our relationship is unhealthy. But because you were the only one for me as I was a kid, you come into adulthood and you're like, maybe this isn't quite right.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's a drastic thing of necessarily like just locking people off as soon as, you know, something happens that is undesirable. But at the same time, it's being aware of what's good for us and what makes us happy and what makes us healthy and
what we need and what we're used to. So you know when people talk about generational curses, trauma, like that side of thing, you only really understand what that means as an adult.
Yeah.
Do you get me? And even having grace with your parents or like the elder people in your family of going, like I always use this example, like when my mum used to come home from work, bro, and I know a lot of African like kids can attest to this, innit? Can relate to this. When your parents used to come home from work, in my case it was my mum, stressed. You don't know what they've had to deal with. You don't know what the manager's been putting on them the whole day. My mum's a nurse. She's a nurse, innit? So even in the pandemic, she was on the front line, going into people's homes, weighing their children, all sorts of stuff. And some of these people that you're doing this service for, some of them, they don't like you personally, but you have to, do you get me? She still has to do her job, and then you're coming home and you have to deal with your kids as well. It's peak.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think, why is she always in this mood when she comes home? But as you get older, you understand now you're juggling responsibilities, work, life, all the rest of it. So in that instance, you understand like you understand to give people grace, because at the end of the day, they're doing the best that they can do for you. But yes, I think it's deeper when you're growing up and something that you liked as a kid, you understand now that's not really a healthy, like a healthy thing that I saw like the older people in my family doing.
I think like in terms of what you say about grace and understanding, especially when it comes to adults, because like what we were saying before about when we were younger, you look at adults and you think that they've got it figured out, bro. And that they know they're always going to do right and they're never going to do wrong.
Yeah.
And then as we grow older and we make our own mistakes, we start to understand, and this was something for me definitely, like especially with my dad, realizing, okay, your experience from when you were born up until this point is very different to mine.
100%.
And that has played a major part in the person that you are. And if I had a very similar experience to you, would I be much different from the way you are now? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think when we can start to, it doesn't justify or make anything right. It's not about that. It's more about understanding, and then you can start to have some compassion in it, rather than just holding people to this unrealistic standard. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we can do that, especially as we hit our teenage years and we're going through certain things and people aren't showing up for us necessarily the way we think they should. But it's like, you need to be given the tools in order to be able to do that, innit? And if you haven't been given the tools,
how do you expect them to do that?
Right.
But then also, how many situations have you been through where someone hasn't done right by you, or they weren't able to show up for you in the way in which you wanted them to, but through that process, that's meant that you're a stronger person now.
Exactly.
Do you get me? Like, it's giving you that...
it's lessons, isn't it?
Yeah, it's giving you, it's built, it's strengthened you in that way, and it's also allowed you to just see things from a different perspective. It's like, so you've learned the lesson that you needed to learn, just not in the way that you would have liked to have learned it.
And it's a superpower to have that perspective as well, because we can either like sit in victimhood in it and be like, this has happened because of you, and this is your fault, and whatever. But when we take that standpoint, we absolve ourselves of any accountability, or not accountability, but we can put ourselves in a place where, what can I gain from this situation? What can I learn about life, about people, about myself? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rather than sitting in victimhood and ignoring all of that stuff, because you can go through stuff that's difficult, and if you don't take those lessons, then you're missing out on some vital self-development and self-growth, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And if we're going to go through things that are painful, the biggest favor we can do ourselves is to at least gain something from it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's always possible.
It's true.
And if we're going to go through something painful regardless, we might as well learn some shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's very true. It's very true.
Thank you for that. I'm not gonna say the person's name because I don't think they want me to.
Hopefully that situation resolves itself though. Or
yeah, I mean,
they find the strength to do whatever it is they need to do for themselves and the child involved. Like, because that's not easy, but hopefully they're able to do that. Whoever.
I think it's about boundaries as well. You know, when it comes to the family thing, because I think it's not even necessarily about, like I said before, cutting people off, but understanding maybe, okay, I'm going to put boundaries in place, and certain parts of my life you don't need to be involved in, and that's not like on a negative hating thing. It's more of you have to preserve your own thing first before you can do anything for anyone else. You need to make sure that everything's right here, internally, and on a personal level, because that's, especially when you've got a kid, that's how you can be the best brother, dad, parent. Do you know what I'm saying? Like little brother, whatever. So it sounds selfish, but actually looking after yourself and your environment and your mental health makes you a better person for other people.
Yeah, don't allow anyone to make you feel bad for looking after number one, man. Nah, don't. If anything, they could be setting that positive example for that person to change and do what they need to do. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, bro.
And by doing that, the reason that is not selfish, because it means that you can be the best version of yourself for other people. So I can give you more. The more that I look after myself, and the more that I look after my mental health and my physical well-being and all of that stuff, I can be a better person for you.
The more you can help others, 100%. 100%.
Another person asked about the importance of stepping out of our comfort zone.
Okay.
And ways in which to do that. And I've always thought that that's something that's vitally important. I think when we get stuck into like a mundane routine of doing the same thing, we were talking about this the other day, that's when, you know, when people say, oh, time flies, where did the time go? And it's like, you can slow down time by stepping out of your comfort zone, because you have to become present, because you're faced with something new now. So now you need to engage your brain, because you've never done this before. And you're a little bit scared. You want to do it, but you're scared. So now when you're scared, your senses are heightened.
Yeah, of course.
When you're doing the mundane thing for a long time, you're just going through the motions. And before you know it, you look up, 5 years has gone past.
Do you know what it is? With that as well, I feel like when it comes to stepping out of your comfort zone, we spend, especially in the world that we live in today, we spend a lot of time thinking about ourselves, how we look, what other people think about us. Like, when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're not able, it's what you've said, innit? You have to stay present. And by doing that, you don't even realize the progress that you're making, whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. Do you get what I mean? If I'm always thinking about, let's say I was a chef, or like a baker, whatever. If I'm always thinking, is this gonna, of course you want the food that you're making to taste nice, but more than that, the more I cook and the more I okay, the first one was too salty, second one too sweet. If I just keep baking and baking and baking and being present in just making whatever it is that I'm making, creating, 50, 100 cakes, cookies, whatever it is down the line, you realize, right, now I got there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's because you weren't thinking, you weren't your own worst enemy. You weren't putting up hurdles or barriers for yourself. So I think in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone, man, you just got to go for it. Sometimes you can't overthink these things.
And being willing to make mistakes, like in
you
that
got to
kind of
embrace
metaphor
them.
you were talking about.
You got to embrace them.
It's okay to do something and not be perfect at it.
100%.
Because if we take that standpoint, we're never going to do anything.
At all,
do you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be perfect, so I'm not going to bother. It's like, that's not. The beauty is in the mistakes.
100%.
Because that's where you figure shit out and you're like, okay, that one didn't quite go to plan. Let me try something different. Ooh, I hit the lick on this one. Sick. How can we develop that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So stepping out of your comfort zone is vital, man. And
I guess it comes down to what this person does as well, specifically. Do you know what I mean?
But I don't even think necessarily, and I hear what you're saying, but even in terms of what we do, we can step out of our comfort zone in even little ways. Like, say for instance, one of my things is like networking. I hate it. I hate walking up to someone that I don't know, like at an event and like selling myself.
Yeah,
like, I'm not into it at all.
Yeah.
And like I've been at a couple of events recently, I've been better. Like I had some support at one where like people kind of like, supported the conversation. And then I went to another one where I was on my own. I was like, all right, cool. Talk to two people that you don't know at this thing and exchange details or whatever. And it's just something small like that, do you know what I mean? And it's like, it makes a difference. Like, I made a decent contact, you know what I'm saying? We've had a little back and forth, supporting each other a little bit on socials. And you can just do it every day in day-to-day life rather than shying away from things. And they only have to be small steps.
Of course. Let me ask you though, why do you hate networking though?
I don't know, man.
Where does that come from?
I've thought about this before. I think there's a side to it of imposter syndrome, a little bit.
Bro, you know, I've been doing what I'm doing for 15 years. Yeah. I've been acting for 15 years, and still part of me thinks, when are they gonna find out that man's?
Yeah.
Like, they ain't found me out yet. Now. Do you know what I mean? Seriously.
I hear you, bro.
Do you know what I mean? So that's
you're incredible at what you do as well.
Thank you.
It's like,
you know,
I was at an event the other day. I was at a Meta event, and I was asked to come and perform the spoken word there or whatever. And it's like, you get sucked into this, this person's got more followers than me, like, is anyone really interested in what I do, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you go through it, and it's like, again, once you go through the process and it goes well and you get your feedback, it's nice, do you know what I'm saying? But it's still there.
You said to me that was different as well, that event, in terms of the way that they received your work.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it's not like when you're shelling a show and you can see that the crowd are jumping up and down.
Exactly, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you stand up in front of 70 people or whatever it was, the room's silent, everyone's sitting down, do you know what I'm saying? And then it was a spoken word piece, so there's no music. Do you know what I'm saying?
Uncomfortable, bro.
Yeah, that was
deeply uncomfortable. Yeah,
trust me. Do you know what I'm saying? Sober. Do you know what I'm
get
saying?
it? Just you, your voice, and the audience.
Exactly. Prepared the piece the night before. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was all mad. But afterwards, like, obviously, it was received well, and then the conversations I had afterwards were super encouraging, positive, and off the back of it, I've potentially been introduced to like some representation, like potentially getting more work out of it, blah, blah, blah. So that just comes back to the comfort zone thing. Like, if I hadn't have done that, some of the opportunities that have come off the back of doing it, I never would have some of the stuff I've never even contemplated.
Thought about, innit?
Yeah.
It just comes down to there's that saying, you've got to do something you've never done to get something you've never had, to receive the results that you've never received before.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That is it.
Exactly. If you want different, then you have to do different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we sit here saying, I want my life to look like this, or I want this to change, and I want that to change, but you wake up every day and you do the same thing that you've been doing for the 5 years.
Pardon me.
It's not
going to change. But do you know what? I think on a deeper one, when it comes to that not wanting to network thing, I feel the same. And the reason, for me, I think it comes down to upbringing as well, or like where I've grown up as well. Because coming from where we're from, bro, like being from ends, so to speak, or from a urban environment, for those of our listeners that aren't from the same socio-economic background as us, man, I had to drop some words there. I feel like we're always taught not to beg it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone is a bit too, like, we've got a brethren and he talks to people, bro. And I admire him for that. Man, like T is one of those people where we went on holiday to Portugal. T is the person that you see talking to the random Portuguese person on the beach that's just sitting there by themselves. He'll have that conversation with them. And I've always been like, how can you do that? That's never really been me. I have my days, but it's never really been me. But coming down to that mentality of, nah, I don't want this person to think that I'm a beg, or I don't want, you just don't want to draw yourself out, because then you leave yourself open to someone saying, oh, you know what, nah, I'm not really trying to, I don't mess with whatever you've got going on over there, but I don't rate your thing. Do you know what I mean? And I think that the fear of failure, embarrassment, whatever it is, it stops us. Whereas my friends that, especially through acting, my friends that are from more privileged backgrounds, or that haven't grown up the way I've grown up, bro, they talk to everyone. And you can tell that when they speak to people, they believe that they have something valuable to say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's almost like a self-worth thing. Am I gonna look silly? And this is something that I've been like, as you become more aware and more conscious of your emotions and how you feel, you start to look at these things, innit? It's like, why am I concerned about other people's perception of me and having some type of anxiety around that and overthinking it or whatever. And it's like, if you believe in yourself and you have a certain amount of self-worth, then you could quite happily be your true authentic self. And if it doesn't gel with that person, then that's okay. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's when you can walk into a conversation or into a room and have those conversations. It's like, cool, maybe we don't gel. Love. Do you know what I'm saying? And then keep it pushing. And I think, like you say, in terms of like the environment that we've grown up in and the culture that's really been cultivated, there's so much of that, like we would take the piss out of people for being intelligent. Like, what are we doing? Oh, you're a boffin. What do you mean? What, he's good at something. We're gonna mock it. Or I remember when, oh, you're a bang out, bruv. What do you mean? I'm a bang out.
It's true.
What? Because I've dedicated time to something and I've become good at it.
I like to do.
And now we're going to sit here and we're going to laugh at you for that.
Yeah.
We're just sitting there laughing because you've dedicated your time to something and you've become good at it. And now, culturally, we look at that like it's a bad thing.
But then, you see, like, one thing I've always one thing I think now I'm noticing now is that 9 times out of 10, that person that's the boffin or the bang out, they don't have the issue, bro. It's how some people don't like to be around that because it reminds them of whatever it is that they haven't succeeded at, or that thing that they don't have enough courage to go and pursue.
Right.
And you see, once you realize that it's not always about you, what we're talking about in terms of getting out of your comfort zone, staying present. It's not always about, like, stop thinking about yourself, just focus on whatever, like, hit the target, innit? Focus on the target. Then you realize when you're dealing with other people as well that it's, I don't think I might not be the issue here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I love what you just said about it's not always about us.
Yeah,
and I think oftentimes we make it about ourselves, and it's like, maybe what you're doing is shining light on someone else's shadows.
Yeah.
They don't even know that it's happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, what this person is doing is making that person feel uncomfortable.
Away,
And for what reason? Because what they're doing has actually nothing to do with you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just love something and they focused on it.
It's deeper though, man.
Trust me, it's an interesting one. Man. When you really dive into it, that's when you start to look at yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because there's been times when I was like younger or whatever, when I'd be a part of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, just mocking or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, it's banter, like blah blah blah. Cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with a bit of banter, but sometimes look a little bit deeper in it.
So where was it? Would you say there was a specific turning point where you started to go, you know what?
I think, like, truly, like, in terms of, like, I've always been quite aware of if I can see in social situations if things are making other people feel uncomfortable. Even if I'm part of, like, the people who are joking or taking the piss or whatever, I will kind of get to a point where, you know what, that probably was a bit off, you get me? So I think I've kind of always been aware in that sense. But only in the last few years have I really started looking at the deeper side of it as to why. You get me? Why do we do this? And what's the effect that it's having really? Like, what kind of environment are we cultivating in our family or our friendship group or whatever? Because that type of behavior, all it does is stifles people's ability to communicate and to grow and to share. And like, imagine like, oh yeah, it was all fun and games. Imagine that's the reason why my man has stopped doing that now.
Stopped doing what he's doing.
He doesn't do what he loves, or he doesn't talk about what he loves anymore because we laughed at him. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, people will be like, oh, you don't need to take it that seriously. But that is a fact. Like, that could happen, innit? And that's more important than us having a little giggle. Like, empowering people that you care about has to be more important than that.
1,000,000%.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's comes back to awareness, innit? Because it's like, you can just be unconscious and like say whatever you want and whatever. But if you do that, you're not taking the time to move in a way that's empowering. And if we can empower people we care about, then we should.
I have a question. If a bit of banter, let me not reduce it to a bit of banter, but let's say your mate's taking a mick about something that you want to do, or just people taking a mick about something you want to do. If that really does stop you from doing it, did you really want to do that thing in the first place?
I don't think it's that simple. I think there could be something that somebody really, really loves, but maybe their self-esteem ain't there. Maybe their life experience is the way that they approach things, and their
the support system.
Exactly, their emotional robustness might not be there. So it's like, it doesn't, just because the banter has stopped you from pursuing or even expressing about it, doesn't mean that you don't care about it. It just means that that particular instance has had an effect on you to the point where it's impacted how you engage with something that you love. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think just because we love something, it doesn't matter what anyone says. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if like your family, like you have hopes and dreams of doing something, and they continually are unsupportive and minimalize what it is that you want to do, or make a joke about what you want to do. That happens for long enough. You just say, fuck it, I'm just not going to do it no more.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I think it's important to identify when people do need, do you know what, out of this group setting, let me hit you quickly. Yo, bro, what you're doing is sick, you know? Like, honestly, I've rated. I know we was like this and that or whatever in the group chat, blah, blah, blah. But bro, like, you're dope.
Yeah, nice.
And don't ever think that man don't rate you. Because we don't have those conversations.
It's needed,
bro.
it is.
We don't. And it's so important, bro. Like, it's so much, like, they say, for every one negative thing that you say to a child, you need to reinforce it with 5 positive things.
Wow.
And I don't think it just applies to children, bro. And I'm like, how we're so much faster to joke and ridicule, to do that, than we are to be open and honest and supportive of our brethren, especially as men. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we do that all the time. But it's like, what about that real conversation? Like, you're my brother, I love you, what you're doing is sick, I rate it. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like those conversations are happening a little more now, but it's still not at the forefront of how we communicate
100%.
with each other. And again, it comes back to that, oh, you're wet. Why are you being soft for?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like a girl?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, that shit's funny, cool. But if that is dominating the conversation and the environment, what are we cultivating?
If that's everyone's default setting, then it's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost weird. Like, I tell my brethren I love them all the time now.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm always hugging my brethren or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, over time, like, people get used to it or whatever. And some people are more like it than others. I'm not saying it's not just me, but I go out of my way to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's important, bro.
Nah, you do. That's something that you're an advocate for. Do you know what I mean? For supporting people and spreading.
I try to be, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Spreading that, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I think what I have to say as well, like, I am blessed to be around the people that you know what I mean, to have my brothers that I have around me that have supported, man. Because even with this last job that I did, if I didn't have Daniel there to support, man, I've been saying this to everyone because it's true. If I didn't have Daniel there, like, I wouldn't have.
My little brother.
Yeah. And that's my brethren, you get me? But he was basically, like, every step of the way, everything that I did, he did. Even certain things was like, he was like, nah, bro, we have to do this. Do you know what I mean? Definitely, there would have been days where I got up and been like, nah, I'm not going to gym today, or I'm not, do you know what I mean? I'm not preparing, because what I had to do was so intense. You need that support, man. You
100%.
need that support.
And it's a beautiful thing. And I think, and it's also like an honor to be able to be that person for someone else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as much as it was supportive for you, and like he's showing his love for you and his support for you and what you're doing, he's also telling himself subconsciously that is something that we give to ourselves as well. Like when you show up for someone, you're showing yourself about what is important to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and it's
100%.
like, if I can show up for someone that I love in this way, we're giving ourselves something in that moment as well.
It's different though. Some people, they don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, this is what it's not a thought of, I have to help this person. It's like knee-jerk reaction. It's just like, that's just how they're wired. Like,
100%.
What we're doing, this is what we're doing. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Don't even need to ask, man. This is how we're gonna.
But this is what I'm saying, why it's on a subconscious level. It's not even a thought out.
Yeah.
The way that we communicate with ourselves subconsciously, so we don't even realize it, has an effect on the way that we feel as an individual. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not even like we're necessarily aware of it, but the things that we do, the way that we behave, the way that we treat people, the way that we show up, has an effect on our relationship with ourselves. It's like when we say to ourselves, "Oh, I need to go gym. I need to change my diet. I need to change this stuff in my life," and we continually make those promises to ourselves, and we continually break it. On a subconscious level,
You're reinforcing
telling ourselves that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's not a conversation that we're having here, but it's having an impact on our being on a level that we don't even understand or realize.
Damn. It's true.
It is.
It's good to be reminded of these things. It's true, though.
It's like, I think about these things sometimes, and it's like, after like looking at things a little more, in a little bit more depth, and you realize like everything that we do has an impact, big or small. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be perfect, but I'm trying to skew the balance to more doing things that impact self in a more positive way. I'm not saying man needs to be like goody two-shoes at 24/7, but let me do 70-30. Do you know what I'm saying? 80-20.
Start at 60-40, then we can figure out the rest of it.
Or at least aim for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's skew the balance a little bit. But that comes with awareness, innit? Like we can't just walk through life and just do whatever, or just like be led by instinct all the time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, See, you know what I find interesting about that is, that's when we're talking about us, like, as humans, as people, we want to try and find that balance in terms of, striving to be the best version of ourselves, and then also living in the moment, whatever that may be. If that's having a drink on a night out, if that's making sure you get to the gym early in the morning because that's something you need to do. It's all just trying to be like there in the moment, right? A friend of mine that is an actor also, I remember we was having this conversation. He was talking about like the good wolf and the bad wolf inside of you, innit? And sometimes, that depending on what wolf you feed or what part of yourself you feed, that is the one that will grow. Now, where I have to think about these things differently is if your line of work, like when you're an actor, when you're having to play different people, some people that are closer to you, others that are further away from yourself. People talk about life experience, like what have you been through that will allow you to engage and relate to that character. What I find interesting is sometimes someone is so far away from you, you go like, how does their mind work in that way? And then it makes you think about yourself, like, what do I think about these things, or should I be a bit more, I don't know, like free? Should I be a bit more impromptu? Should I be a bit more disciplined or strategic, whatever it is? And it's like, I came to the conclusion, still work in progress, but there's no right or wrong answer in it. It is just the balance, and we are human beings, animals at the end of the day. Obviously, I believe in God, so a lot of my decisions and a lot of the decisions that I make, I always keep God in mind. But just on a basic one, it's like there's no right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? You have your morals, you have your your code, like you have the I don't know, like a certain discipline or just what you believe in, your ethos as a human being. But like people change, innit? People change all the time. Things change, innit? And it's how we adjust to that. We feel like we can control things, and you can to a certain extent. But really and truly,
I think the only thing we can truly control
is what
here. Like anything
outside of that,
external from that.
Yeah.
In terms of the balance thing, and like there's no right or wrong, and I hear you on that. But and I think leaving space, like to make mistakes, like it's okay to make a mistake. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think where the real part comes in is how you pattern afterwards. Are you taking accountability? Do you know what I'm saying? And are you doing what you can to not repeat those mistakes? That's when things become a problem, is when you continually repeat, you're not taking accountability.
Yeah.
There's a finger pointing going on.
Yeah.
This is why, that's why. And that's what I was saying about the only thing we can control is here. Because yes, this might have happened. That person might have treated you in this way. Your upbringing may have looked like this. You can't control any of it.
What are you going to do now?
Right.
At the end of the day, what are you going to do?
Exactly. Do you genuinely want things to change? And if you do, finger pointing ain't going to change nothing.
Actions.
Yeah. And looking inwards and being like, all right, cool. What role did I play in this scenario? Because you played one, it might not have been like the main perpetrator or however you want to look at it, but you still played a role in that scenario. And maybe your role is now, I need to remove myself, or I need to put boundaries in place, or I need to spend more time around these people and less time around these people. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's when real change happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think oftentimes we can sit in this victimhood place and this blame game thing, and you might be well within your rights to feel like a victim and to blame people. But again, if you sit there for too long, nothing's
going to change. Yeah.
Exactly. So, in terms of what does when you like project forward in terms of like your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations around career and relationships, have you given that much thought? And if so, what does it look like?
In terms of career, I have given it thought. What I've realized about myself is I'm not necessarily a write down in 5 years' time I want to be here. I'm not that kind of person. I never have been. But I have a very strong, I have a very strong sense in my mind and in my heart that, in my soul, bro, that I am gonna go very far in what I pursue. I'm gonna be very successful in that, you know. And I have faith, and like, I guess as much as I do say, like, you know, the imposter syndrome does flare up every now and then. In my mind, it just makes me know that I do care about what I'm doing, because I'm always kind of questioning: are you doing enough? Are you doing enough? Are you training? Are you educating yourself? Are you watching plays? Are you just banging on your craft to the point where, you know, when that time comes, when that call up comes, you'll be ready for it. I know that, like, geographically, I love England, London, UK. But at some point, I was trying to get over stateside.
States, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For work. I don't know if I'd want to live there, because that place is crazy.
So what are you thinking, LA, New York?
Bro, wherever it is, man. If it's a play in New York, I'll do it. If it's like LA, a lot of TV and screen stuff goes on over there, then I'll do it. And I don't think that is too far away from me, to be honest.
I love that.
I believe that. But then also, another thing is, like, your artistry. and I know that you'll be able to relate to this in terms of there's being successful, but then there's also continuing to grow as an artist in terms of the stories that I'm telling, the way in which I'm expressing myself through my art. All of those things are stuff that is daunting to think about in a way, but it is definitely stuff that I just think, I want to be doing more, man. I want to be writing, producing, directing. That's something that I would like to do in the future, most definitely. Because I feel like as an actor, you're the conduit through which a story is told, and you have to use your skills to do that to the best of your ability because you're representing people. But then at the end of the day, when you think about the real decision makers from a business point of view, it's always been the producers, man, and the people that bring the money in. Now, where it gets techie for me is because of my, I'd say relationship-wise.
Hold on, before we jump into relationship, I just want to say something interesting about what you just said. You started off by saying, I'm not really the guy that writes down where I want to be in 5 years. But you went on to describe in quite vivid detail where you see yourself being in the next 5, maybe 10 years. Do you know what I'm saying? So even though you haven't written it down, it sounds like it's written down in quite a detailed way in your mind.
It's there.
And also, I will say, at the beginning of this year, me and my partner, we did vision boards, innit? And I've done one before, but that was at a time in my life when my actions weren't necessarily backing up the things that I wanted. But this time round, it's been really dope. Like we're 6 months in, and we're looking at it, and we're like, yo, that's happened. That's happened. It's actually mad. And you see people say this shit about vision boards all the time, but if it's something that you're interested in doing, I would highly recommend it because we did it on big cardboard things, and we did cutouts and drawings and whatever. So one, in terms of creativity, kind of takes you back to a kid anyway, because you're cutting
the arts and crafts of it. Exactly. Creating it, you're actually creating.
Right, exactly. This is what I'm saying. And when we talk about creating our reality, when you do it in that, you're only what's the word I'm looking for? Deepening its tangibility in your consciousness. Do you know what I'm saying? And as you go through the process of it, it makes you think about the things that you want more. Because we all think about, as we go through life, we have an idea, like how you just described to me, of where we want to be and what we want to do and all of that stuff. But when you go through the process of writing it and drawing it and cutting and sticking, it makes you think about things in more detail. And not only that, it inspires other ideas. Okay, what does that look like? Okay, this is what the house looks like. Okay, so where is it? What does the garden feel like? What does the kitchen feel like? What does my day-to-day routine feel like? How much freedom do I want? Do you know what I'm saying? And you go through the process of it, and it cements it, like I say, but it also brings out more. Do you know what I'm saying? So I know you say that you don't write it down, but it's definitely it's just a positive process just to go through on a creative level. And then when you can see the things happening as well, I don't know, there's something about that process which is quite beautiful.
The ticking helpful. Like the catharsis of ticking it off and going, I've done that, I've achieved it.
And sometimes we lose focus on things, and there'll be things 100%. That we want, and say in January we think about it, and then it happens in October, and we don't even realise that we asked for it.
That we've done,
you know what I'm saying? Because we've forgotten about it now, but it's happened. Do you know what I mean? But when you've got the thing to look back on, you can be like, yo, I asked for this, and it's here, and it's another way of being grateful. I asked for, and I've got
gratitude, man. That's important, man. It's so important. It's so important. I hear you on that. And the vision board is something that I definitely need to do. As I say, with the writing, it's not something that I'm not like a journal everyday person. Every now and then I will sit down and go, all right, cool, what are you trying to achieve, X, Y, and Z, and just jot certain things down. But I've just always had from when I was young, bro, man, I could just always see myself there, at the top, whatever that is. Do you know what I mean? But then now I think the reason why I just leave everything to God, bro. I really do. Like I work hard, and I'm lucky I have people around me to support me, like my parents, my mum, my dad, like even my little brothers and that. But at the end of the day, I've been through too many things where I've gone, I ain't had an audition in time, or you know, like, man, I'm not feeling very fit at the moment. Like just things where you're not where you want to be, and then like it just turns itself around, innit? And you find that motivation to get back to it. And yeah, as much as it does come from you, I feel like there's a higher thing that's driving us. You know what I mean? So yeah, career-wise, Do I think about where I'm gonna be? Yeah, million %.
I think coming back to what you were just saying as well, in terms of like if you haven't had an audition for a while, and the way that can impact like belief or self-esteem or whatever. And I think it's another one where it's like, it's important to zoom out sometimes, because sometimes we can be so focused on what's happening or not happening now, and forget about all of the amazing things that have happened and the amazing things that are coming down the line. And I think it's important not to sit in that space for too long. Yes, feel our emotions, of course, but when we focus on our lack,
you just get more lack.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And you see people, I'm sick, I'm always sick. I'm like, yeah. And I'm not saying the only reason you're sick is because you say it all the time, but there's a mentality there.
Yeah, but you do see it though. You go, you're ill again.
Trust me.
Come on, man.
Trust me. You know? Or people that are just ready to be mad about stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? I was an interesting one the other day. We was walking, and obviously it's summer, and it started raining. And I noticed like both of us immediately, and it wasn't raining heavy, like heavy rain is different, yeah? It was just raining a little bit. It's still 22 degrees, you get me? And immediately, myself included, this.
Everything just tightened up.
Yeah, and you're holding all of this tension in your body, your face is now screwed up, and all of a sudden, I'm pissed off because it's raining. But why though? Why are you pissed off? What has changed, apart from the fact that a little bit of water has touched your face? Do you know what I'm saying? Nothing. Really?
Nothing, bro. But rain is...
No, I hear you.
Rain is different in this England than it is elsewhere.
I hear you. But this specific example I'm giving is summer.
Yeah.
It's different if it's cold and whatever, your clothes are getting mad wet. I hear that. But this one, it was just an automatic reaction because we've been conditioned. If it's raining, that's bad. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's an unconscious reaction that you're now internalizing, and it's changing the way that you feel in this moment.
It's true, man.
It's wild. So now my whole emotional state has changed because of something that I've been conditioned to believe is bad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was just like, do you know what? Let's try this. Open up your shoulders, look up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what has really changed? How is my day gonna change? It's not.
No, if you don't let it.
It's not. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's actively and taking a conscious approach to how we look at things. Why am I reacting like this? Is it because I actually feel this way about this rain? Or do I live in a country where when it rains, everyone moans?
Yeah, it's programming. It's that.
And that's just an example, but you can apply it to everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like road rage is another one. Like if someone cuts you up or whatever, it's like, I've seen people like whiling. I've done it myself. It's like, bro, why? I'm actually mad right now. I'm actually like shouting at people I don't know. Why?
The status quo, innit?
Yeah, it's like,
the status quo.
What's changed, bro? We're all gonna hit the same red light. Like, who cares?
I don't know, man. I think that's a here thing as well. That's like a UK thing, London thing. Because you know when people talk about the weather all the time, it's part of it. It's kind of part of our culture. So yeah, you're right. Just to deconstruct that, break out of it, and like think in a different way. I think definitely it's helpful, man.
Yeah. Future you. So we spoke about career.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to apply that to love.
What does love look like for future me?
Yeah. If you thought about it.
I don't know, bro, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. But I mean, like sometimes, like obviously you're a bit younger than me, innit? So it's like, I don't think it's necessarily, it's not a bad thing that you haven't given it much thought.
No, I have. Like, I have given. I don't know. I haven't given it thought. I've given it thought. I don't know. I just don't know what's going on out here at the moment. Do you know what I mean? It's
In terms of what? Because I feel like I know where you're going. But
bro, like it's a jungle out here, man. We're living in treacherous times, bro.
I hear you.
We really are, especially for my like age group generation. It's just a bit different, and I feel like you know it.
But expand on that though.
Okay.
Why is it? What is it about the environment and the treachery that's taking place? What are we talking about?
You want me to be real? I feel like people nowadays aren't willing to. People want things too quick. We're in an age where everything is at your fingertips, innit? And love doesn't work like that. I don't believe that. I feel like it's there's levels and layers. Do you get me? So like in past relationships that I've had, I felt like it was the fact that I may have started off being friends with that person, building that trust, building that rapport, that then meant that when you got into a romantic relationship with them, you knew them as friends first before you could progress on. Do you know what I'm saying? You had that foundation there. So even if it's like if you're arguing with your brethren, you still know at the end of the day you're disagreeing on something, but that's your like your brother or your friend. They care about you, innit? Now, it's like I feel because we're at that age where people are trying to get their stuff together. A lot of people feel like they should be further on in their careers or in their jobs or whatever it is than where they are, and people feel like they should be further on in where they are. It's like the fuse is so, the leeway for the love stuff is so short because people are thinking about themselves. So for me, I just think it's different, and I don't know if I have the patience. Like I always say to myself, if I meet the right person, or if I'm I don't know, man. It's like I'm a work in progress still, naturally. Do you know what I mean? 100%.
Until forever.
100%. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like there's this delusion that you're gonna find the perfect, the finished article. You're not. Do you know what I mean? Maybe to you, something that is perfect to you, but yeah.
To touch on what you were saying as well, I think what you were kind of alluding to in terms of like the way the internet is now and social media and the things that people aspire to have, it's all, a lot of it is superficial and shallow. And I feel like a lot of the general consciousness is driven by what we're seeing on our phones. And I think it really impacts the way that people view love and relationships, and it really drives that kind of the idea that this is the state of things at the moment. And I do believe that is the case to a certain extent. However, I also believe that when we pattern here and we have a strong idea of who we are and the type of person that we want to be and the type of relationships that we want, we invite that energy in. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
And I think sometimes we end up engaging in energy that isn't the energy that we want, and then we wonder why more of that energy shows up. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether that's music, media, social media, places that we go, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? And I just think sometimes we need to be more conscious about the things that we're allowing in, if that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't believe that the whole world is the same way, but there is certain pockets everywhere of, you know, there's a pocket here where people are, I want this amount of money by this age, and I want that, and that's what's important, and blah, 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 and girls are this, and men are that, and whatever. There's definitely people out there that think like that. But there's also people out there that don't think like that.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I just think, again, it's like you have to be hyper aware now, because it's not like you can be sitting in your yard and you can be being bombarded with stuff. It's not even like you go outside now. It's not like you just go outside to interact with it. It's constant.
It's right here, man.
This is what I'm saying.
It's
and I think
right here.
It comes back to digital diet, what I spoke about. Like, you have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly consuming things and you're not thinking about it, you're taking all of this shit on board constantly.
Programming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man's being programmed in a way. I think that I think to answer your question that succinctly, I do think 1,000,000% like love is on the cards, man. Because you need like I'm not a like man's not an outside guy. Do you get me? I'm not a. That's not me, innit? I've just never really been built that way. Cool, we all have our seasons of it, but yeah, man, 100%. I do. You know, I look forward to that. I just think at this moment in time, right now, let me take accountability and say maybe I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready. Do you get me? I think, yeah.
And that's part of the game.
Yeah. I'm just trying to answer it honestly, bro. But I just think at the moment, it's not my priority at the moment. At this moment in time, it's not, man.
But you know what, like, I mean, that's also an important part of it, because it doesn't need to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, like, I think the honesty part is the necessary part for us to move. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's all right to not be about that right now. Like, I'm really 25.
26.
26, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, if you're focused on your career and that's what you're about right now, then it's actually productive and admirable that you can take that standpoint, innit? You're not gonna necessarily step into a situation when you know really in your heart of hearts that it ain't that. So if you're being honest with yourself about it, then
I've got you, like, man, you have to, innit? You have to, and I'd say that for the past, like for quite some time, like, man, I ain't really been in the game, fam. I've just been out the way, really. You know,
being honest with yourself is a game changer, bro. Like, it's not like a common thing for people to truly be honest with themselves about what they want, where they're at. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I in this situation? Am I in this situation because I really want to be here? Am I in this situation because I really see a future with this person and this is what I'm on? Or did stuff just happen and time went by and this is all right? But if I'm being honest with myself, is this really where I want to be? Like, how many people do you know that are in a situation where it's like, if their brain was open and they was being truly honest, like, and you see people's, like, and people's behavior show you anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think for a long time in my life, I wasn't honest with myself. Like, I convinced myself of other shit, and go along with, I don't know, like, I think especially when you grow up around mandem or whatever, there's this mask and this role that we play. Something I've been talking about recently. It's something I definitely experienced growing up, and it's like, you kind of play this role that people expect you to play, or especially a mandem and our approach to women and how we feel about that, and justifying certain behaviors, and if they don't know, then it's not an issue, and whatever. And that, if you're not honest outwardly, you can't be honest with yourself.
You can't be.
You get me?
You can't be. Yeah.
And I think we can convince ourselves of there's all of this justification or whatever, and I don't know.
Especially, man. I hear it. Especially when it comes to, like, me. If I'm gonna be in a relationship with someone, bro, I'm gonna be in that relationship, bro. I'm gonna try and give them the best version of me, innit?
And I applaud that.
You know, sometimes you don't have the space in your life to do both. As in, you might need the best version of yourself to complete whatever it is that you're doing at that moment in time. Do you get me? And trying to split between, in a relationship, bro, it's like, I think if you're in the right one, it should feel like a partnership. Do you know what I mean? It should feel like a team thing. I'm not saying that to take all of the romance out of it, but yeah, that's what it should feel like, man. And
I think
if you're not equally yoked, sorry to cut you, bro. If you're not equally yoked, like, then it will end up being you having to think for that person. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're not all the way secure in yourself, then you end up feeling like you need to do whatever it is you need to do to prove that you belong with this person, bro. To that person and to the outside world. It's long. I've seen it happen. So for where I am right now, it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. whoever ends up with me, yeah, whatever lucky lady ends up with me. Nah, bro, seriously,
No,
like,
brother, I agree.
do you get me? Like,
I agree.
Do you get me? Like, well done in advance, innit? Well done in advance. Not even on an arrogant one, just on a like, not seriously, but until that time comes and until I've found that person who I'm gonna be lucky to be with, bro. I'm not trying to. Let me just do my thing, make my bread work, and you know what I mean.
I think what you were saying is really interesting in terms of getting ourselves into a certain place. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I think what some people don't realize is that when we are in relationships that are unfulfilling or things happen that are heartbreaking or that we don't like or whatever, yeah, yes, there's an accountability to be taken from all sides. But I think sometimes what we miss out is, why am I in this relationship? Why am I with this person? If I'm being treated like this and this is what's transpiring, where am I at? Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that alleviates and takes away or justifies destructive behavior. I'm not saying that at all. But if as an individual you're in that situation,
you choose to be there, you put yourself there.
Some accountability to be taken.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take accountability, you're going to hop into another one that's similar. So if you want to change or level up, if that's what you want to call it, then it has to happen here
100%.
first. 100%. And once we take that accountability, that's when we can move and be in different spaces, around different energy, attract different energy, and have a different relationship.
It's that thing of no one's coming to save you, innit?
Exactly.
You got to save yourself.
Exactly.
You know. So to answer there you go. Yeah, relationship wise, I mean, I say all of this. Who knows? I might see the, do you get me? The girl of my dreams today on the tube, bro.
And often when it's great to write things down and have an idea and an understanding of where we want to be, the relationships we want to have, the careers and whatever. That's great. And sometimes exactly how we pictured it is how it happens. But also, a lot of times, the way things show up and the way things transpire is not the way it might be a version, but it's not how we envisioned it. I never expected this to happen at this time with this person in this space. Yeah. But here we are.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got to be open to it though.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to be open.
That's the thing. I think my problem is sometimes I'm not open to it. Like deliberately so.
But again, that's...
Do you know what I mean?
That's a self thing.
It is a self thing. 100. I'll be real. Yeah. It's a self thing. And it is also a thing of... like on the way here, we was having that conversation. We was talking about the gym and like them posh gyms, and we was talking about sometimes people don't feel that they deserve certain things. Do you get what I mean? Like,
of course,
you have to then ask yourself: is it you say? Are you hiding behind the thing of work? Are you hiding behind career, graft, grind, forget the relationship, or is there a deeper thing there? Do you get what I'm saying? So.
And that's why the relationship with self is so important, because when you actually become honest around these topics, if there are things that are impacting our self-worth or our belief in ourselves to have certain things, then once we have an understanding of what it is, then we can once you gain understanding, that's when you can start healing in it. And once you heal them, and I'm not saying like, heal as in, it disappears, but understanding is the beginning of healing, innit? And once you start to have that and you work through it, that's when you move into the next space. Do you know what I'm saying? But it all comes back to awareness and being conscious and not ignoring it. But also, things only come up when we're ready to look at them as well. All of these things don't happen overnight.
That's true.
And it's not like, I'm not saying, you have to look at everything immediately. But if you have the awareness there, when it comes up, you're like, maybe I should look at this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something that... Yeah. And we all have things, do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what... You could have grown up in the most idyllic situation ever. It doesn't mean that you don't have things that you need to look at.
Million,
that needs to be healed, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we've all got our traumas and whatever.
There's always something. Yeah. What about yourself, though? In terms of career?
Career, I mean, the last, I'd say 6 months, 12 to 6 months, and maybe sometime before, like I've really started to hone in on on what things are going to look like. Even like recently in the last couple of weeks, like if things have become a little bit busier, and it's been nice because I've got my fingers in a few creative pies, and I've never been great at doing the same thing consistently day after day. Do you know what I mean?
So you've always needed variety.
Yeah. And currently, like that's what my days are varied. Like doing a bit of acting, trying to follow in your footsteps. You get me? Like I'm behind, but I'm trying to think.
Bro, we're all running a race, bro.
Do you know what I'm saying? The podcast, music, some voiceover bits, and there's a couple of writing opportunities that are coming through.
Yeah, proper.
And it's just
different bags.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to do it and not and it be my main focus. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like really, really grateful to be able to occupy this space, and it feels good, man. So yeah, that side of things. And again, it's not how I envisioned my life to be 10 years ago, or 50. Like I just wanted to be a rapper, innit? Like I was working, doing normal jobs, working with young people, which I love, by the way. But I would never have, even 5 years ago, I would never think that me and you would be sitting in here having this conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't even on my radar as this being a thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And having the outlook that I have, and I'm getting up there. You get me? So things can happen. Things will happen when they happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I feel positive about it, man.
Proper.
It feels like it's going in the right direction. Thank you.
So you should. Like I see this podcast like going somewhere. I see it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves and how it develops, 1,000,000%. As much as even the acting bits as well, obviously, pulled up on set, on the set you was on the other day. Yeah.
Like opposite Ashley Waters, like that's a crazy one. Yeah.
So like I got to, even for me seeing that, it was like you know what I mean? So proper.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. And I agree with you, and I'm starting to have that belief definitely in terms of even just this conversation is kind of solidifying it for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like episode 2, and it feels good, man. And the conversation's been great. It's been flowing, and I can see where it's going, and it's actually in alignment with who I am and where I'm at, and where I envision myself going in terms of like morally and being true to who I am.
Stepping into the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
It's like another step forward, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
And I look forward to like the future discussions and stuff as well. So I've got something for you actually.
Rah. What surprises, isn't it?
Surprises, baby.
Rah. I've been asking you for one of these for time. Yeah, man.
Come on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. Have a good effing day. Yeah. Have a good effing day. Love, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Come on, love, man.
Thank you. Seriously, bro. Seriously. I'm gassed for this, man.
Bro, thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate it, man.
It's been sick, bro.
Appreciate it.
It's been a dope convo, and time's flown. Do you know what I'm saying?
It has.
And again,
I'm happy to come back, though. I'm happy
100%, bro.
In the future, 1,000,000%.
We'll do a part 2. And again, this is episode 2, the first guest. You get me? And it feels like time's flown, conversations flowed.
Yeah.
It's been love, man.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you, my brother.
Big up, man. Well
Appreciate
done.
you, man.
Well
Love.
done.